In search of inner peace and clarity of mind, the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers valuable life instructions, urging us to strive for a fulfilling existence. Grounded in self-discipline, acceptance, and rationality, Stoicism teaches us to identify and eliminate harmful habits and thoughts that hinder our development. Here are 10 things you should silently erase from your life, drawing inspiration from Stoic principles. Excessive worry is like a spider's web, tangling our thoughts and draining our energy, leaving us unable to enjoy the present moment. The relentless worry about what may happen in the future prevents us from feeling joy and fulfillment in the here and now. There may be challenging times ahead, but we cannot control every aspect of our lives. This is the principle of Stoicism. Accept what lies beyond our influence and focus our efforts on what we can change. Realizing this frees us from the bonds of illusory control over the future and allows us to focus on our goals and actions in the here and now. Accepting the Stoic teaching of the inevitability of certain events and the lack of absolute control over the future helps us to free ourselves from the oppressive influence of constant anxiety. Instead of wasting precious energy on imaginary threats and assumptions, we can turn our attention to what really matters and supports our well-being. This does not mean doing nothing or ignoring potential problems, but rather recognizing them, focusing on what we can change, and acting in accordance with our values and goals. The desire for approval from others often becomes like a guiding star that shows us the way in life. We seek praise, recognition, and approval from others, sometimes even at the expense of our own values and beliefs. This striving can lead us to live the life that others expect of us rather than the life we genuinely want to live. Stoicism teaches us to value inner confidence and wisdom above external forms of recognition. Accepting ourselves as we are and evaluating our actions according to our own yardstick becomes the key to true satisfaction in life. Instead of seeking praise and approval from others, we should learn to make our decisions based on our inner values and virtues. This does not mean completely ignoring the opinions of others, but rather about prioritizing one's own internal compass over external evaluations. Practicing Stoic principles helps us develop self-confidence and find true satisfaction in what we do, regardless of what others may think or say. Attachment to material things is one of the most common phenomena in our society. Material wealth and possessions are often seen as the measure of success and happiness. However, Stoicism instructs us to see the impermanence of this wealth and to realize that true happiness does not depend on the number of possessions. Renunciation of the relentless pursuit of material accumulation becomes the key to inner fulfillment. The Stoics urge us to find joy and fulfillment, not in the possession of things, but in simplicity and frugality. Realizing that material things can be temporary and untenable helps us free ourselves from dependence on them. Attachment to material things can be a source of stress and dissatisfaction. Constantly striving for more, better, and more expensive things can cause us to lose value in our lives. Stoics insist that true wealth lies not in the quantity of things we own, but in the quality of our relationships, inner peace, and harmony with the world around us. Renouncing material attachments and seeking fulfillment in simplicity and frugality helps us to free ourselves from the chains of consumerism and find true happiness and fulfillment in life. Regretting past mistakes is a natural feeling that many of us experience. However, clinging to these mistakes can become a real burden, impeding our progress in personal and professional development. Stoicism, with its unique approach to embracing life and its challenges, offers us a different way of looking at regret. Instead of wallowing in guilt and regret, it is worth applying the Stoic principles of self-forgiveness. This means recognizing that the past cannot be changed and focusing on what we can control, our current behaviors and decisions. Stoics teach us to accept past mistakes as part of our learning process, as an opportunity for growth and improvement. By focusing on correcting our mistakes and learning from past experiences, we can turn our failures into valuable lessons that will help us become better. Practicing self-forgiveness and accepting ourselves for who we are helps to release the burden of regret and allows us to focus on the present moment and future growth. This does not mean ignoring past experiences or forgetting our mistakes. On the contrary, it is a call to use past mistakes as an opportunity for growth and improvement. By remembering the Stoic principles of self-forgiveness, we can move forward with confidence and optimism, knowing that every mistake is a chance to get better. Constantly comparing ourselves to others is a trap we often fall into without realizing the consequences. Social media, and the environment constantly offer us standards of success and happiness that are often illusory. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we often feel unworthy, dissatisfied with our accomplishments, and diminish our own worth. Stoicism offers us a way out of this comparison trap. Instead of focusing on the accomplishments and qualities of others, it is worth developing an appreciation for our own unique strengths and virtues. Each of us is unique, and each of us has something valuable and unique to bring to the world. By focusing on this, we can avoid the trap of constant comparison and begin to truly appreciate ourselves and our contribution to the common good. Self-awareness and recognizing our uniqueness allows us to free ourselves from the unnecessary stress and anxiety associated with constantly comparing ourselves to others. Instead of measuring our achievements and successes by the standards of others, it is worth focusing on our own journey of self-improvement. This does not mean stopping ambition or striving for the best, but rather about recognizing and appreciating your own unique qualities and developing them in accordance with your own values and ideals. Anger and resentment are emotions that often lead to negative consequences, both for ourselves and our relationships with others. Holding anger and resentment inside ourselves only increases their impact on our thinking and well-being. When we hold anger and resentment within ourselves, we risk losing clarity of thought and ruining our mood and relationships with others. Seeking to apply the Stoic teachings of forgiveness can be a powerful tool for overcoming anger and resentment. Forgiveness is not about making excuses or forgetting what has happened, but rather realizing that holding anger and resentment inside ourselves brings us nothing but suffering. Adopting a Stoic approach to forgiveness helps us free ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment that they place on our consciousness and well-being. Practicing empathy is another important aspect in overcoming anger and resentment. Realizing that each person has their own struggles and faces their own struggles and challenges helps us to see situations from a broader perspective. Instead of reacting to situations with anger and resentment, we can try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes and understand their perspective. Adopting the Stoic teachings of forgiveness and practicing empathy help us to overcome the anger and resentment that may arise in our lives. These approaches allow us to free ourselves from the burden of negative emotions and maintain healthier and more harmonious relationships with others. The expectation of perfection is a common trap we fall into when striving for an illusory ideal. We always strive for everything in our lives to be perfect. The perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect body. However, the more we get closer to this ideal, the more frustrated we become, realizing that perfection is unattainable. This search for perfection can lead to constant feelings of dissatisfaction and stress. The Stoics teach us to see flaws and imperfections as an integral part of human nature. Instead of condemning ourselves for our mistakes and weaknesses, we should accept them as normal and natural. Recognizing one's flaws does not mean giving up on striving for improvement, but rather understanding that it is possible to develop and grow by accepting yourself as you are. Striving for progress rather than perfection allows us to free ourselves from the burden of expectations and disappointments. Instead of focusing on the perfect end result, it is worth focusing on the process of growth and development. This allows us to appreciate each step forward and enjoy the journey, not just the accomplishment of the goal. Every experience and lesson, even if accompanied by mistakes and failures, brings us valuable experience and makes us stronger. Constant complaints about external circumstances can become a trap that we fall into when something does not go according to our plan or when we encounter difficulties. These complaints support the victim's mentality, reinforcing the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. When we are constantly drowning in complaints, we stop seeing solutions and opportunities to change the situation, which deprives us of control over our own lives. The strategy of Stoicism suggests that we take a different view of complaints. Instead of wasting energy on useless complaints, it's worth accepting your situation and focusing on finding solutions to problems. Stoics teach us to focus on what we can change, our reactions and actions. By adopting a Stoic attitude of acceptance, we become more effective at solving problems and gain a sense of control over our lives. Adopting Stoic principles also helps us to rethink our attitude towards difficulties. Instead of seeing them as something negative and useless, we begin to view them as opportunities for personal growth and development. Every problem we face presents a challenge that can make us stronger and smarter if we can accept it and find ways to overcome it. Thus, applying Stoic principles to our complaints about external circumstances helps us refocus our thinking and emotions. Instead of getting lost in negativity and hopelessness, we begin to see opportunities for growth and progress. This allows us to become more effective and self-confident, as well as overcome feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. Engaging in rumors and spreading negativity is a phenomenon that can negatively impact our relationships and environment. When we engage in rumors or actively spread negative stories, we maintain an atmosphere of toxicity in our social circles. This can lead to broken trust, conflict, and a general downfall in the group. The strategy of Stoicism suggests that we approach communication with kindness and honesty. The principles of Stoicism teach us to value quality relationships with others and to strive to ensure that our conversations are supportive and constructive. Instead of drowning in rumors and negativity, it pays to actively practice the principles of kindness, compassion, and respect for others. Developing supportive and constructive conversations can help strengthen our relationships with others and create a more positive and healthy community atmosphere. When we communicate with respect and kindness, we foster trust and understanding between ourselves and others. This helps to create more harmonious and joyful relationships and to increase social support and understanding. Practicing the Stoic principles of kindness and honesty in our interactions helps us to become better people and helps to strengthen our relationships with those around us. When we strive to make our conversations positive and supportive, we make the world around us a better and brighter place. Excessive consumption of information is becoming an increasingly common phenomenon in modern society. In the digital age, we have constant access to a huge amount of information from various sources: social networks, news portals, blogs, video hosting, and many others. This can lead to information overload, mental confusion, and even anxiety states. The principles of Stoicism help us to look at this phenomenon in a different way. Stoics teach us to value moderation in everything, including information consumption. Instead of being absorbed by every news or trend, it's worth choosing information that really enriches our mind and corresponds to our values. This allows us to keep our mind clear without overloading it and avoiding mental confusion. However, in order to properly filter information, we need to develop critical thinking and the ability to analyze the information we receive. We should ask ourselves questions about the reliability and usefulness of information before taking it for granted. This will help us avoid spreading false information and keep our minds clear. Applying Stoic principles of moderation to information consumption helps us maintain balance in our digital lives. We can choose the information that is really important to us and avoid being overwhelmed by the mental flow of news and articles. This allows us to maintain mental clarity, concentration, and calmness in the modern information world. Integrating these Stoic teachings into your daily life can lead to greater peace of mind, resilience, and fulfillment. By silently eliminating these harmful habits and thoughts, you are paving the way to a more virtuous and meaningful existence. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell. See you in the next videos.